Good evening from Port Elizabeth, folks, in the Eastern Cape. This is part 2 of the short videos regarding reasons you could be potentially ineligible. Now, for folks who've already done the intake questionnaire, or if you've already been interviewed by USCIS, not really going to help you. But based on meeting with people across the Western Cape and Eastern Cape this past several days, it seems to me that people need to be very careful about what they're doing. Specifically, if you use dodgy or fraudulent documents, you could find yourself ineligible. Fraudulent documents are not an acceptable way to get into the program. Now, I'm not accusing anyone of doing that, but I do know that if you submit fraudulent documents to the U.S. government, they're not going to look favorably on that. So how does this come about? Well, a lot of people are rightly frustrated by Home Affairs getting documents, or by the SANDF trying to get their service records. It is South Africa, no different than the rest of Africa when it comes to getting things done. In other words, you pay somebody outside the normal process to jump the queue. Well, there's a possibility that maybe those people really aren't the people they purport to be, and they're giving you fraudulent documents. If you get fraudulent documents and submit them, it doesn't matter if you're innocent, folks. You're a victim, but that's not how it's going to be perceived. It's going to be perceived if you're a person who's handed dodgy documents in. And that could easily make you ineligible. Now, that's heartbreaking for someone who had good intent and who didn't forge anything. Be sure that you're not submitting fraudulent documents. There are people out there offering services that they will get you an expedited document, or they can get you a document within 3 days. That's not how things work. It's not how it works. And you should consider that to be questionable. Now, unfortunately, today I met with someone who received an ineligibility letter. Lovely family. It's a shame. But one of the members of the family was in the United Kingdom 20 years ago and got robbed, had no passport. Young person, not realizing the danger that would come later from using forged documents. Someone got them forged passport so they could get out of the UK and get back to South Africa. Unfortunately, that's something that was identified and flagged. And now this family can't come to the United States. I was going to make this video a couple days ago. I'm glad I held off, because now I have an actual case of someone who had dodgy documents, but that was done elsewhere. It wasn't done here. We all know how things work in Africa. You need to be very careful about what you're doing. When you submit fraudulent documents, the government, my government, looks upon that very unfavorably. Whether you're innocent or not, whether you're a victim or not. I've already talked about a woman who was a victim of human trafficking, but while being a victim of human trafficking in Latin America, was forced to ship drugs and got caught and has a criminal record. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter if you're a good person if you've done something wrong. And what a shame. Something happened 20 years ago because someone is a victim of a crime. They made a bad decision. Now, you may not view that as a bad decision, but it was a bad decision. That doesn't make that person bad, but it does mean that, unfortunately, that's probably the reason they're ineligible. Do not try to circumvent processes with documents comes from people who promise you a service in a couple days. Things don't work like that. You should be circumspect. You should question these things. So we've talked about ineligibility for a number of reasons. Last year I told you reasons like dual passport, if you have a safe haven, if you lie to investigators and get caught in it, if you fail to answer the questions correctly, if you mislead on your intake questionnaire or previously statement of interest, that's going to be a problem. These are all reasons. But some nasty people have been spreading lies and said that I call people who got ineligibility letters liars and criminals. I did not. That's once again selective hearing. Those are just a couple reasons why you could be ineligible. There's lots of reasons. Refusing to get immunizations without a just religious basis. Reason for ineligibility. All right, folks, don't take dodgy documents. It may just ruin your chances for new life in America. Reporting from Port Elizabeth. Cheers.